Okay, students, today we are going to talk about the theories of evolution, basically the Lamarckism and the Darwinism. Lamarck and Darwin, as we know, are the famous naturalists. Lamarck is from the France, whereas the Darwin is an Englishman from the southern England. Let's start with the Lamarckism. Lamarck was born in 1744 and he was famous for his very famous theory of inheritance of acquired characters, inheritance of acquired characters, which he published in 1809, the same year Darwin was born. The theory of inheritance of acquired characters states that the change in structure or function of any organ acquired during the lifetime of an individual in response to change in the environment are inherited by the offspring and keep on adding up over period of time. So it states that अगर कोई इंडिविजुअल अपने लाइफ टाइम में कोई करेक्टर एक्वायर करता है तो वो करेक्टर नेक्स्ट जनरेशन में इनहेरिट हो जाता है. दैट वाज द स्टेटमेंट ऑफ Lamarckism or the theory of inheritance of acquired characters. Now it has certain shortcomings also, which we will discuss later on. So the Lamarckism is divided into two parts. One is the acquisition of characters का लेना, and other is the inheritance of these acquired characters. So it states that change in environment around us or an individual, the changing environment, maybe the change in temperature, light, scarcity of food, etc., creates new needs. So as the environment changes, the needs changes. It influences the function and behavior of the individual and introduce change in the structure and development of new organ. So as the need changes, the behavior and the function of the animal or the individual changes, and the development of new organ may be there, or reduction of existing organ may also be there. These are known as the vestigial organs. For example, the muscles of pinna in our ears, which were functional in our ancestors, but now they are vestigial because we don't need them. The characters so acquired during the lifetime of an individual by use or disuse of the organ due to the changing environment are called acquired characters. So the acquired characters are those characters which are not present by birth, but they are acquired by the individual in its lifetime due to the environmental factors. Now, the Lamarckism states that these characters, acquired characters, are inheritable. The acquired character passes on to the next generation. During the lifetime, new character may be acquired, or older one keep on improving, or they may be reduced if not required. Say I have given an example of the pinna, the muscles of the pinna, which are reduced now, and after a number of generations the species become different from the parental generation and evolve into a new one. Now, what are the evidences of Lamarckism? A very famous example in favor of the Lamarckism is that of giraffe. As you see that the original parental ancestor giraffe has short neck. Its neck is short, but due to the change in environment, the vegetation on which it grazes become scanty, and it has to, the giraffe has to reach to the top of the trees, or the trees, simply the trees, to get the food, and in doing so it desired to have a long neck. It starts stretching its neck, and after generation after many generations, the due to the constant stretching of neck to reach the tree, it become progressively longer. So it is driven by a need which changes into desire, and the continuous effort of the giraffe ultimately produced a long necked giraffe. So as the climate changed, the vegetation is replaced by the trees, and the continuously stretched neck resulted in the elongation of the neck and the present day giraffe was born. तो जिराफ की गर्दन पहले छोटी थी और जैसे ही उसको ज़रूरत पड़ी ऊंचे ट्रीज से पत्ते खाने की, उसने अपनी गर्दन को स्ट्रेच करने की कोशिश की एंड आफ्टर मैनी जनरेशन इट रिजल्टेड इन द लॉन्ग नेक जिराफ. There are other examples about the use and disuse of the organ, like the evolution of snakes, where the limbed reptiles, the snakes were earlier limbed, they become limbless to adjust themselves better in the burrows and creeping movement among the vegetation to escape the predators. Another example is of the webbed feet of the water birds, which evolved from the terrestrial birds, and they need web in their feet for easy swimming. Reduction of eyes in the moles as they live in underground burrows. तो ये moles जो rodents हैं, they live in underground burrows, deep in the underground burrows, and they have reduced their eyes. Muscle of pinna are reduced in man, as I have said you earlier. Flightless birds of New Zealand. This is a very good example. Certain flightless birds like kiwi of New Zealand, ostrich from Africa, and emu from Australia, they are believed to have descended from the flying birds. But when they first reached the New Zealand, they were able to fly. On sitting there, they did not find any need to fly as there were no enemies on the land and there was plenty of food. In due course of time, they lost their ability to fly and wings got degenerated due to disuse. But there is a criticism also, like sometimes more usage of organ make it weak, for example eyes. So as a person constantly busy in reading and writing and using their eyes more often than other, they develop impaired eyesight instead of making it more stronger. Desire alone cannot develop new organs, like the man always has desire to fly, but it never made it to wings. Inheritance of acquired character is not possible. For example, piercing of pinna and nose are age-old custom in India, but they don't have any hereditary effect. Another famous example was the experiment by August Weismann. He amputated the tail of rat for many generations, but every time he got the tailed rats. So they all prove that the acquired characters are not inheritable. Another example is that as we go to gym for building the muscles and we develop larger biceps, but these larger biceps are not inheritable. We have to do exercise again in the next generation to develop the biceps. The theory of continuity of germ plasm by Weismann, which states that germ cells are responsible for heredity and not the somatic cells, and the Mendel's law of inheritance were the hard blow to the Lamarckism, which end the Lamarckism. It has many flaws, but it is replaced by another theory known as the Neo-Lamarckism, which states that the acquired characters which become incorporated in germ cells. So somehow, if the characters are incorporated in germ cells, they are inheritable and they accumulate generation after generation, resulting in the new species. There are certain evidences also. Neo-Lamarckism states that germ cells are influenced by environmental changes, and these cells may carry variation to offspring. One thing must be noted here, that germ cells are influenced by environmental changes, but at the same time somatic cells may not influenced by the environmental changes. अगर somatic cells environmental changes से affect हो रहे हैं, वो inheritable नहीं है. अगर जर्म सेल्स एनवायरमेंटल चेंजेस से अफेक्ट हो रहे हैं वो इनहेरिटेबल हैं. Also, there are certain evidences like Muller demonstrated the famous experiment of Muller where he irradiated the Drosophila and checked the morphological characters. He demonstrated the role of X-ray in producing heritable variations in Drosophila. Tower, on the other hand, he was a scientist, exposed potato beetles to the abnormal temperature and humidity. They were there was no somatic changes. There were no somatic changes, but the offspring show change from parental generation. So the any character which is present in the germ cells is inheritable. Similarly, we can see that the exposure to X-rays or another ionizing radiations sometimes causes a defect in the next generation due to the mutation or the changes in the germ cells. So now head on to the Darwinism. Darwin was famous for many things, like he wrote a book, Origin of Species. He was famous for his famous theory of natural selection. He was famous for his voyage of HMS Beagle. He did his voyage on HMS Beagle from 1831 to 1836, and he was also famous for Darwin finches. So let's talk about the Darwin now. Darwin was born in 1809 and is an Englishman. And while he was on his 5-year-long trip from Europe, so he started from Europe as he is from England. He was from England. He started his journey from Europe, goes to the South America, from South America to towards the Australia, and back to the Africa, and back to the South America, and then back to the England. So for the 5 years he circumnavigated the globe and observed many things. And one of the famous observation was the Darwin finches. There was a Galapagos Island off to the Southern America where he noticed 13 species of finches. All are different from each other and from the mainland finches also. So there is a group of islands in Galapagos, and every island has different type of finches. They have certain similarities, but they have certain dissimilarities also. So he observed that the similarity between related species, because they are related, are due to their descent from the common ancestor. But at the same time, the differences between them are result of variations inherited from one generation to next. So Darwin postulated that when there is a rapid multiplication in any species, when the species is reproducing at high rate, so when the species is reproducing at high rate, it produces many individuals. Now, higher the population, limited are the resources. Resources are the same, the food remain the same, but population increases. It results in the competition for the struggle of existence. The struggle may be intraspecific in between the species, interspecific between two species, and with the changing environment. So when there is more population and limited resources, there is a competition between the individuals, which may be interspecific or which may be intraspecific. Heredity is associated with variation. Okay, these variation are due to the recombination of genes, or he Actually, he never explained the basis of the variation because he didn't know. And then there is a natural selection. Natural selection means the changing environment or the intraspecific or interspecific competition chooses the fittest animal, chooses the fittest individual. So it is basically the nature which selects the individual. When the nature changes or the environment changes, only the fittest animal which is fit in that environment survives. And the nature selected and the nature selects the individual. The selected individuals reproduce among themselves, and after many generations they may produce a new species. So what Darwin said, that when there is an increase in population, जब population बढ़ती है या resources कम होते हैं और आपस में competition होता है, तो वही एनिमल सर्वाइव कर पाते हैं जो बदलते हुए एनवायरनमेंट के अकॉर्डिंग फिट होते हैं. सो इट इज़ ए नेचुरल सिलेक्शन. एनवायरनमेंट इज सिलेक्टिंग द फिटेस्ट एनिमल, एंड दोज एनिमल्स विच सर्वाइव, जो बच जाते हैं, वो रिप्रोड्यूस करते हैं और आफ्टर मैनी जनरेशन एक नई स्पीशीज़ बन जाती है. अगेन वी टेक द एग्जांपल ऑफ जिराफ. In case of Lamarckism, this is Lamarckism, there is a constant urge from the giraffe to reach the top of the tree, and after many generation उसकी गर्दन लंबी हो जाती है और वो ट्रीज़ के पत्ते खा सकता है. But in case of Darwinism, it says that among the population of the giraffe, there are certain giraffe which has long necks and there are certain giraffe which has short necks. As the environment changed and only the trees are there, not the lower vegetation, only the giraffe with longer neck survived and shorter neck giraffe wiped out. So according to Darwin, इनिशियली 2 टाइप के जिराफ थे, एक लंबी नेक वाले और एक छोटी नेक वाले, और लंबी नेक वाले ही सरवाइव कर पाए क्योंकि वेजिटेशन सिर्फ ऊपर रह गई थी. और लंबी नेक वाले जिराफ ने जब रिप्रोड्यूस किया तो उनके ऑफस्प्रिंग भी वैसे ही हुए जिनकी नेक थोड़ी लंबी थी, और वो ऐसे नेचुरल सिलेक्शन हुआ. नेचुरल सिलेक्शन कैसे हुआ कि नेचर ने उन्हीं को सिलेक्ट किया. पेड़ छोटे नहीं होंगे, नेचर ने उन्हीं को सिलेक्ट किया जिनकी गर्दन लंबी थी. छोटे वाले अपने आप भूखे मर गए या कुछ टाइम सर्वाइव करने के बाद वाइप आउट हो गए. और दिस इज नेचुरल सिलेक्शन. इट इज़ फेवर्ड, दिस थ्योरी इज फेवर्ड बिकॉज अकॉर्डिंग टू लैमार्क इट टुक जनरेशंस. कई जनरेशन लगी उसकी गर्दन लंबी होने में, तब तक वो कैसे सर्वाइव किए, उनकी पॉपुलेशन कम हो जानी चाहिए थी. बट according to Darwin, there is a variation. All giraffes are not same. Say in our population also, हम सभी same नहीं हैं, हम में variation है. A certain disease, if a certain disease is there, हम सभी बीमार नहीं होते because we have variation. हम सब में अलग अलग immunity है. अगर सभी एक जैसे हों, क्लोन्स हों, तब सभी बीमार हो जाएंगे. जब से एक ड्रेडफुल डिजीज़ आती है और हम सभी पे अटैक करती है, तो वो लोग बच जाएंगे जो उसके लिए इम्यून होंगे, और वो वाइप आउट हो जाएंगे जो उसके लिए इम्यून नहीं होंगे. जो इम्यून होंगे वो फिर से जब रिप्रोड्यूस करेंगे, उनके वैसे ही स्ट्रॉन्ग या इम्यूनिटी स्ट्रॉन्ग वाले बच्चे पैदा होंगे और वो आगे सर्वाइव करते रहेंगे. Okay, the Darwin also postulated a theory of sexual selection in his support. He said that like natural selection, some individuals have better reproductive success than others within the population because they are more attractive, they have more attractive characters, and female prefer more attractive partner to produce offspring. For example, male in the lion, vocal sacs in the male frog, colorful feathers in birds, and antlers in male deer. They may have certain underlying logics, but it happens. There is a there is a sexual selection also, like the natural selection. So during sexual selection, there is a competition among males to get the female for mating. This leads to struggle or fight among males of certain species. Sexual Sexual selection operates only on sex, while the natural selection operates on both sex. The sexual selection is associated with reproduction, while natural selection is concerned with the survival. So it is in support that there is struggle, there is struggle, and there is a process of selection in nature also, as just like the sexual selection. So there are many evidences like the artificial selection. There is a close parallelism between natural selection and artificial selection. By controlled breeding and natural selection for several generations, many new varieties of plants and new species of domestic animals have developed. New races of dogs, new races of horses, pigeons, sheep, goats have been developed by man by artificial selection. If a man can produce new varieties in a very short period of time, nature with more time and vast resources can easily produce new species by selection. Another evidence is the co-evolution or joint evolution of two interacting species. For example, flower structure and shape of proboscis or the beak. Darwin suggested that a race between flower and insect leads to corresponding modification between the length of floral tube and length of insect's proboscis to ensure pollination for flower and availability of nectar for the insects. Darwin also proposed a theory of pangenesis. The theory is discarded now. It states that somatic cell produces gammules, and these gammules are known as pangene, which accumulated in germ cells. These cells are helpful in producing the offspring. Okay, this theory only carries the historical importance since the detailed structure of sperm and ovum has been studied and the entire process of their formation is clearly evident now. So there are certain examples of natural selection. A very famous example is of the Biston Beetleria. The industrial melanism. Okay, there were two types of moths in England. One is the original non-melanic form, which is a lighter in color, and other is the melanic form, which appeared in 1845. The story behind these moths is that the original population of moth has grey wings that blend perfectly with the lichen covered tree trunks in Great Britain. Because lichens are also light colored, and so is the moth. But with the rise of industrialization in Europe, the atmosphere becomes sooty and tree trunks become dark in color due to absence of lichens, because the lichens do not survive in the polluted environment. So what happened is that one black moth appeared in 1845. This is called the melanic form. And by 1848, 10% moths were melanic, and by 1898, 99% of the moths were melanic. Studies show that the melanism is produced by a single dominant gene, and it follows the typical Mendelian inheritance. The change in the gene genotype, phenotype, frequency of melanic form appear to be correlated with the spread of industry and change in the surrounding. We can explain this by as the grey or light colored moth in sooty covered area were easily located by the predators. बिकॉज द बैकग्राउंड, ट्री का बैकग्राउंड डार्क कलर का था और उसके ऊपर लाइट कलर्ड मॉथ बैठते थे, तो प्रेडेटर्स उनको इजीली खा जाते थे. वेयर एज ब्लैक कलर्ड मॉथ camouflaged with the dark surroundings and were able to escape from the predators. This is the natural selection. Light colored mouth वाइप आउट होते चले गए, predators उनको खाते चले गए, और जो रिमेनिंग बचे वो ब्लैक थे और वो रिप्रोड्यूस करके ब्लैक ही पैदा करते चले गए. Another example is of the DDT resistance. The DDT resistant insects survive. When we put the DDT in the agricultural fields, some insects are resistant to the DDT and able to survive. The resistance of DDT is a character controlled by genes. This gene is present in the population of a species, but in the absence of DDT, it has no selective value. On spraying DDT, insects with resistant DDT gene are able to survive and produce the offspring, and other wiped out. So natural selection happens, and we have very concrete evidences that the natural selection happens, but there were certain shortcomings of the Darwinism also, like the mechanism of occurrence of variation was not explained. He didn't know what the variation is and how it happens. He didn't explain the use, disuse and the vestigial organs. He didn't explain the arrival of the fittest, only survival of the fittest. He didn't explain the acquisition of new characters, how new characters were acquired during our lifetime and sometimes they are inherited too. And for this, there is a new Darwinism. The new Darwinism includes latest concept and is supported by many contemporary scientists. It is a merger of Darwinian selection and genetic theories. This concept evolved after a book published by the Huxley entitled Evolution, the Modern Synthesis, and another book, Genetics and the Origin of Species, and many recent findings by different scientists. And it states that it is based upon genetic variability in population or variation in the gene pool of the population, which is introduced by mutation, variation, and heredity, which we know how we know how the variation happens in our population. It is also based on significance of genetic variability, natural selection, and genetic drift. Genetic drift is the isolation of certain genetic characters, isolation, and the origin of new species. So it is basically based on the population, how in a population certain animals, certain individuals drift away and isolate themselves, and they refuse to reproduce with the parental generation, and this all adds up to the variations and ultimately the new species. So that's all for the new Darwinism and the Lamarckism. So thank you. That's all for the Lamarckism and Darwinism. The Darwinism is a very famous theory, and by following neo-Darwinism we can explain many things, how evolution happened. Thank you.